If you were on Twitter 5 years ago this weekend, it was buzzing even more than usual. Every few tweets, you'd come across #MeToo. With each scroll down your timeline, you were witnessing the galvanization of an enduring worldwide movement. Millions of people, mainly women, were empowered to tell their stories of sexual violence and harassment. If not for the community the hashtag created, many of those women may never have told their stories. Of course, Me Too is much more than a hashtag. And those who had been subject to sexual harassment are much more than their Twitter handles. Their stories deserving of more than 280 characters. And despite the start of its viral movement on October 15th, 2017, the Me Too movement was actually born more than a decade earlier. In 2006, an incredible woman named Tarana Burke was working and living in Alabama when she co-founded an organization called Just Be, Inc. The nonprofit supports survivors of sexual assault, particularly young black and brown girls. Burke and her team were encountering scores of young girls who'd had stories of sexual harassment and assault. Some were so young they didn't even understand what they were experiencing was sexual violence. Burke, a survivor in her own right, committed herself to giving a voice to those who had been abused. She called her movement Me Too. Fast forward to 2016. So much has changed in America. For the first time in history, there was a woman on top of a major party ticket for president of the United States of America, a woman more qualified for the job than anyone in recent memory, ready to finally break that glass ceiling. But that moment in American history proved to be too fragile. On election night, November 8, 2016, Hillary Clinton hoped to give a victory speech at the Javits Center here in New York City underneath a literal ceiling made of glass. But it was not the ceiling that shattered that night. Rather, it was the hopes and the hearts of millions of Americans, particularly women, who were ready to see a change in tide. It was bad enough that despite garnering more votes than her opponent, their candidate had lost the election. She lost to a known misogynist who was caught on tape bragging about sexually violating women. Women were angry. They saw Donald Trump for what he would eventually become, a threat to their personal and their constitutional rights. A nationwide uprising was planned for the first full day of Donald Trump's presidency. The Women's March became one of the largest protests in American history. In cities across the nation and around the world, streets turned pink as millions marched for gender equality and for civil rights. It kicked off a year of reckoning in which women came forward in droves with their stories of sexual assault and harassment. One by one, powerful men, CEOs, filmmakers, actors, musicians, comedians, journalists were called out. Many of them held to account for their behavior. And on October 15th, 2017, 9 months into the Trump presidency, Me Too entered the discourse. The founder, Tarana Burke, writes of that day in 2017 in an op-ed for Time, quote, "When Me Too went viral, millions of people around the world made a courageous decision to reveal their darkest secrets. The sheer number, 12 million responses on social media in 24 hours, ensured that the stories could not be ignored. Many survivors, like me, felt simultaneous dread and hope at this vulnerable moment of reckoning. But I also knew that moments like this were once in a lifetime for movements like ours," end quote. As Tarana Burke points out, those millions of people who brought #MeToo to life existed long before the hashtag did. Patriarchy and sexism had a major head start to the movement. Me Too may have amplified those stories, but they were always there. We as a society and we as media just never gave them the space to be told. If prior to October 15, 2017, you had had the good fortune to be blissfully unaware of the systemic, pervasive nature of sexual harassment, if you thought the Me Too movement simply sprung up out of nowhere, if you've never had to use the word rape in conversation, you're probably a man. Although many men have also been victims of sexual harassment and violence. That's the definition of privilege. In a just world, Me Too has been an eye-opener to me. At the very least, we should have taken the last 5 years to take stock of our own behavior and attitudes toward women, the ways in which we have benefited from our privilege, and the ways in which we could be allies to women and to all who suffer from sexual harassment and assault. At best, we men should have used our power to have worked to break down the systemic and institutional barriers to true equality in the workplace and in life itself. It is not lost on me that I'm one of those men with great privilege, speaking to you from a building with many ghosts. This very network has had to reckon with its own role in the Me Too movement. 5 years later, there have been many lessons learned and countless stories told. But has enough changed?